In this video, I'm going to show you how to use a digital artwork to Photoshop action. So the way the action works is you open up your photo, you fill in your subject with the color, and just play the action. Okay, so this is the effect that the action creates for you. So the action will create this digital painting effect, and also going to create some textures in the background. The action creates the 10% color looks as well, and also one bonus color look. It's a double color look. So after I finish with customizing this effect, I'm going to customizing to this. All right, so here I have used the double color look, so I'm going to demonstrate how to use that color look as well. Okay, let me just close these windows. So after you open your photo, before you use the action, there are a few things that you should check to make sure that the action will run without any errors. So the first thing that you should check is that your photo is a background layer, so it should be called a background, and have this little lock icon. And if it's something like this for Intel, just go to layer, new, and just choose a background from layer. Then click on this menu icon over here and choose panel options. Just make sure you got this option here checked. Okay, the add copy to copied layers and groups. And then go to image mode and make sure your photo is in RGB color mode 8-bit channel. And check the image size over here. So you should avoid using a small resolution images. And for best results, you should use the photos that are at least about 2000 pixels wide or high. Okay, so to load the action, go to Window, Actions, click on the menu icon here, Load Actions, and just choose the action that can be downloaded according to your Photoshop version, right? And just double click on the action file. The action file will appear here in your actions panel. Just open the folder, and here's the action. Now to load the brushes, you can just hit B on your keyboard, select the brush tool, right click anywhere inside the canvas, and click on the gear icon here, load brushes, and just choose the brush file that can be downloaded. There is one brush included, this one here. And all you have to do now is to go to layer, new layer, to create a new layer, and just name it brush. And this is a very important step. You need to write the word brush exactly like this, all letters lowercase, okay, because otherwise the action won't work. Choose OK, and now you can pick a brush tool, choose any color, it doesn't matter, and just brush over your subject. Or sometimes if it's easier to you can make a selection of your subject and fill with the color. So for example, if you wish to make a selection of your subject, in this case it would be easier to make a selection of the background and then just invert the selection. So you select your photo layer, you pick the magic wand tool, and after you finish with creating the whole selection, you go to select and inverse here to inverse the selection, then select the brush layer, go to edit, fill, and just fill with the color. Okay, so it's important that you have that color fill of your subject on this layer here, brush layer. And as I've done that before, I'm just gonna open my PSD file. Alright, here it is. So here I have created a selection of the subject and fill it with a color. So as you can see here, I got a brush layer and got that color fill on this layer. Okay, and all you have to do now is to just select the action and click play. And the action will stop once with a message to ask you to do some quick things. So I'm going to fasten the video here and get back as soon as the first message shows. Okay, so here we got a message. It says, not just brush over the areas of your photo that you want to be sharp. The proper brush will be already selected. You just have to start brushing. Feel free to change the size of the brush. After you finish, just click play again and the action will continue to work. Choose stop to proceed. So click stop, and if you need to change the brush size, you can just use square brackets on your keyboard, right? So you just now brush over some of the details that you would like to stay sharp, okay? Just like that. And now all you have to do is just click play again. So I'm going to fasten the video again, and I'm going to get back as soon as the action is finished, and then I'm going to go through all the layers to show you how each layer works and how can you customize the effect that you get. Okay, so the action here just finished. So the first thing I'm going to do is to just close the actions panel. And the first thing that you probably want to do each time you run the action is to just quickly close down all these folders, because it's going to be much easier for you to work with the layers. So how to quickly do that? So just hold Control and Alt buttons for PC or Command Option for a Mac, and while this folder is selected, just click on this arrow here, and that way we're going to close down all the folders. So let me just expand this layers panel a little bit. So what we got here is the overall vibrance and saturation layer. So when you double click here, you got two sliders, and the first one is for vibrance, and second one is for saturation. Okay. So I'm going to increase the both vibrance and saturation here. Here we got the overall brightness layer. So here in the properties panel, so when you double click here, in the properties panel, you can move any of those sliders to adjust the brightness. Okay, just gonna boost the highlights a little bit. And here we got the overall contrast. So how you adjust the contrast is you just change the opacity, and you can click on this layer here and then move this slider to change opacity, or you can just click on the word opacity and just drag it to the side, just like that. Okay. And here we got a color looks. So as I mentioned on the beginning of the video, you can choose from 10 preset color looks, and there is a bonus one, the double color. So I'm going to demonstrate you how to use this one later. So the color look one is turned on by default, and all you have to do, if you don't like it, turn it off, select any of the other, turn it on, see how it looks. If you don't like it, simply try with another. What you can also do is you can combine a few color looks, so you can, for example, turn on this one and turn on this one, and then you can change the opacities of both of these, so you can create a new color look. You can combine even more than two color looks. Okay, I'm going to use this one for this example, but I'm just gonna drop the opacity a little bit. Okay, something like this. Here we got a light source. Okay, so this layer just gives a light source here at the top, and you can lower the light intensity by dropping the opacity if you like, or you can even boost its intensity by duplicating this layer by pressing the Control Command J on our keyboard. And here we got your subject layer folder, and the first thing you'll notice here is it has a layer mask. Okay, and what this layer mask does is actually softening your subject edges. If you hold the shift button and click to disable the layer mask, you can see the difference. Okay, so if it happens that some parts of your subject are removed, and then just select this layer mask, pick a brush tool, choose soft brush, and set foreground color to white, and then just gonna zoom in a little bit, and then just simply brush over the areas where you wish to make your subject visible more. Okay, just like that. And if you wish to remove it, your subject to some areas, then just brush with a black color, with a black brush. Okay, you just change here foreground color to black. Okay, just like that. You're gonna just a little bit of details over here. A little bit over here as well. And I'm gonna set foreground color to black. Just gonna remove a little bit those bottom edges. Okay, just like this. And just gonna brush with the white a little bit here. Okay. So I'm just gonna open the folder. So what we got here are sharpening layers. You got a subject softening, subject glow, and the base subject. So just gonna hide all these layers to show you better how each layer works. So this is the subject base. Okay, and this is the subject glow. So it gives the glow to your subject, and when you click on this arrow here, you can see it has a filter here. So when you double click there, so just zoom out a little bit, you can change the settings here. You can boost the glow even more if you like, for example like this. If the glow remains too intense, you can either lower it here, or you can just drop the opacity, for example like this. Okay, and here we got a subject softening. So what is that layer does is literally softening the details of your subject, and it also has this layer mask, so it's only softening the edges of your subject. Okay, so what I'm going to do is select the soft brush and set foreground color to white. So it's just gonna soften a little bit more of the area. So I like to do when, for example, if I remove this area of the subject, then I like to just go a little bit about that area with subject softening to smooth that transition. Okay, so just like this. Okay, maybe a little bit over there and over there. And you can change the opacity of the subject softening. So I'm just gonna leave it default. Maybe I'm just gonna drop it down a little bit. Okay, and here we got a subject fine sharpening. So this layer is just gonna sharpen up all the small details of your subject, and this layer here is the hard sharpening, and it's sharpening the larger details and also adding a little bit of the contrast. It's just gonna increase the opacity 100%. So how you change the amount of sharpening is you just change the opacity. Okay, that way you control how much sharpening you want to have in your photo. Okay, let's see what we got next. Here we got a subject glow. So you got two layers giving the glow to your subject, and you can change, you customize them by changing their opacity. You can change separately opacity of one of these, or you can just select the whole folder and just change the opacity. Okay, of the both layers at once. I'm just gonna lower it a little bit. I'm just gonna leave only a little bit of the glow, because in this example the photo better blends with the background with less glow behind the subject. And what we got here are the large paint strokes. So you got these two layers that hide them by default. You can turn them on. There's strokes of the subject, and you can also change their opacity. Okay, and these are just some more strokes, and you can move them around if you like. Okay, you can duplicate them, press Ctrl Command J to duplicate any of those layers, and you can even transform them, press Ctrl Command T. Okay, you can rotate those strokes or scale them. So what I like to do when I change the opacity is to select just all of these. So you select the first one, and you hold the shift button, select on the last one, so you select them all, and then you can just change the opacity of all these layers at once. Okay, and you can, if you wish to remove some of the strokes, you can simply hide a layer or just brush with a black color in this layer mask, and you're gonna start removing the strokes. Okay, and here we got the background bokeh. So this folder is also fully layered, so and it creates those these are those bokeh textures in the background, and you can also duplicate any of those layers to add more bokeh in the background, or you can even duplicate them to boost their intensity. You can scale them, rotate them, right? So you press Ctrl T or Command T, and then you can transform any of those parts. And you can also change their opacity. By default it's set to 100%, but the opacity of the whole folder is dropped down to 25%. So you can just change the opacity. I'm just going to leave it default. And here we got a background texture. Okay. And here we got a background color layer. So when you double click here, you can change the color of the background, but this layer is not visible while you have this texture turned on. So if you turn off the texture, then this layer is fully visible. So you can use any color here for background. And what you can also do is, for example, just brush with the black color into this layer mask, for example, over some area, and then we can change the color here on those areas you have brushed. You'll have this background color visible. Okay, And what I like to do after I finish with the customize the files is just select, close the folder, select the folder, and press Control Alt Shift and D or Command Option Shift and D to make a Snapchat, and then just go to you can right click on this layer and convert smart object, so you can apply a smart filter and later change the settings if needed. So go to filter and choose camera raw filter. So this is going to give some final touch to the photo. Okay, so I'm gonna adjust the temperature and tint over here, increase the exposure a little bit, add a contrast. I'm gonna increase the highlights as well. I'm gonna drop down the shadows a little bit, increase the whites, drop the blacks, and just gonna increase clarity a little bit. Okay, and finally just gonna add a bit more vibrance and saturation, and just gonna click here in the detail panel and just gonna add a little bit of the sharpening. Okay, like this. So just gonna click OK. Okay, so you can see the difference. It really gives a final touch to the photo. So now what I'm going to show you is how to create use the double color hook. So I'm going to hide these layers. Let's just take it before and after before that. So this is the before and this is the after. Okay, so I'm just gonna hide this layer now, because otherwise change that I make here will not be visible. And then just gonna turn off this color look and turn on double color look. So when you open the folder, you got the left color and the right color. When you double click on the color box here on any of those two layers, and you can then here choose any color that you like. Okay, just like that. Or what you can also do is to just select the layer, double color, randomize, double click here on the layer thumbnail, and you can just move the hue slider. What it's going to do is just going to quickly randomize both of those colors. Okay, so I'm just going to leave these default colors, and what I want to do now is to just apply again these same settings, but without some color adjustments, but I want to apply the same brightness and other sharpening settings that I already applied. But if I turn on this layer, it's going to show the previous photo. So what I'm going to do now is to make again a new Snapchat. So I press Ctrl Alt Shift and D or Command Option Shift and D for a Mac. Convert this layer to Smart Object, and then just click Alt or Option and drag this Smart Filter from this layer to this one here. Okay, you can now just double click here, and we have the same settings. So you can now just adjust them a little bit. So just gonna don't want to add any color changes. Gonna keep all other settings as this. Click OK, and let's just click check before and after. So this is the before, and this is the after. Okay, so I hope you understood everything, and thanks for watching.